I thank you guys for watching. I'm not a skin deep mechanic. I'm not a skin deep person. I get deep. Sometimes I get uncomfortable. Sometimes I get emotional. But on these platforms, you see so much content that is just skin deep. You never get down to the root of a person. You never get down to the stuff that people don't want to talk about. You never get down to the nitty gritty with the feelings and get down to the places that need to be touched, that are hurt, or the places inside that were dead and numb. You know, when you speak the word of the Lord, dead things come to life. And that means things in your life that you thought were dead, or the joy or passion you had for something, speak life into those things. And He will bring new life in you for those things. Reignite your passion for whatever it is you were doing that the world has struck you down. I get comments on here quite a bit that'll tell me I'm an idiot, or that I'm stupid, or I'm doing things wrong. That's the world, man. That is the world. I mean, even this, okay? People that saw Jesus perform miracles still wanted Him dead, right? I mean, they still wanted Him dead, and He was a good guy. Hey guys, it's Tyler. And you know, I just wanted to say something here. If you're one of my subscribers or you've watched my videos, then it's either because you need to know how to fix something, or you like the fact that I do things clean and I don't get into a whole bunch of nasty language or do things inappropriate. And I still have a sense of humor, I think. I hope I do. I think I do. Wife rolls her eyes, but that's usual. Or you're one of my subscribers because you saw one of my videos talking about different things that God's done in my life, and you know, you're a fellow believer, and or you've mauled around the idea of, well, you know God but don't know Him real well. I just want to take a quick moment to recognize something here, and that is, when I made the decision to do this business, I know I've said this before, but I had prayed about it and struggled with the fact of leaving something that was good and comfortable to me. And if those of you don't know, I left the state of Ohio to start this business here. And why I mean left the state of Ohio, I was working for the Department of Transportation. I was in administration, so I was out of the union, had great pay, great benefits. Everything on paper made sense to stay there, but I just still felt something wasn't right. And this is one thing different, like not being unhappy with your job or being frustrated with your job. It was difficult, yes, because it was something new to me, and I leaned into that. You know, I learned from that. But ultimately, I think that, I don't know if anybody else is in this boat as me, but I almost kind of feel like I got to the point in my life where things just kind of felt stale. You know, I was going through the motions. I was going to work. I was coming home, doing dinner with the family, and if kids had sports, we'd go and do sports. You know, I was there, but I wasn't really there, if that makes any sense, because I was too busy stirring with these thoughts of, what do I need to do next? And it's not really anxiety, because they talk about anxiety as, you know, worry about what might happen next. Depression is thinking about what happens in the past. I was trying to be involved in the present as much as I could, but I felt so uncomfortable being where I was. Not like with my family. I mean, I love my family, and that everything at home was fine, but just professionally. And you know, I asked God, you know, give me a sign. You know, I'm stubborn. You know, I like to see things in a big, bright, flashing lights. And like, oh, that's what it is. You know, thanks God for giving me the sign. But I had to start realizing that, you know, God works in a bunch of different ways. And even as much as I want Him to just throw things in my face, there's been a phrase I've heard, and it stuck with me over the years. And I actually heard it on one of our local Christian radio stations, and it was, if you want to see what God is doing in your life, see who He puts into your life. And that's an interesting point, because there are sometimes that you'll be thinking about things, and then somebody will bring it up to you, something you're already thinking about, and you kind of get that, you know, reaffirmative. And I'm not talking about feeding them information and they regurgitate it back to you and you're like, oh, that's a sign. No, somebody else that doesn't even know what you're thinking about, and they kind of give you, or they discuss things that you're already thinking about. It's like a reaffirming of what you were praying about, what you're thinking about. Now, in my short time working at the state, I went from the garage, being a mechanic, had my CDLs, I was working on pickup trucks, cars, dump trucks, you know, excavators, we had tractors, skid steers, anything that was in there mechanically needed fixed, we'd work on. Then I moved into facilities, and the idea behind moving to facilities is their building is stationed in the, or I should say their office is stationed in the main building as the administrators, and the engineering department, construction head department, and the planning. And I was like, I want to get up into that area. So, and I kind of made a plan, because the director that was over facilities was, you know, in cahoots with the people in that building. So I was like, okay, I'll take a step there while I'm continuing to finish my degree. And my degree was towards business administration. So that was kind of the reason I went to that building. And to shorten the story a little bit quicker, I got into administration. I finally got to where I thought I wanted to be. And, there's a lot to be said about, it's not really the goal. It's the journey to get to the goal, because once you get to the goal, sometimes folks will feel this. It's on satisfaction. There's an actual word for it. I can't think of the word right now, but it's not depression or anxiety or upset, just angry or whatever. But it's a slight disappointment when you get to the goal that you were working for and it's unfulfilling. And I realized that, I landed a job that realistically I shouldn't have got until later in life based off of the experience needed. But I was able to get that job because the credit hours counted as experience hours to the way they word these positions. So either way, God gave me what I thought I wanted ahead of my time, revealed to me at an early enough time that that's not actually what I wanted. And I equate this to going to the store with your children and your kids are running up to you with different things. Dad, can I have this? Mom, can I have that? And you're like, no, we don't need that. We have it at home or whatever. But the part I equate this to having children is, let's say your kid brings you up, I don't know, a really candy that is absolutely disgusting, and that they're going to think it's disgusting, but they really, really, really want it. They really, really want it. So you tell them no a few different times, and they keep insisting that you get this for them. Every time you go to the store, it's something they always bring up. And eventually, not that you're caving in, but you kind of are caving in because you love them, and this is what they want, your child. God looks at us like his children. I got them what they wanted, even though I know they're not going to like it, just so they could learn that they didn't really want that to begin with. So I thought about that in my career, something I really thought I wanted. I prayed for it. I asked God to help me get to where I wanted to be. And all of a sudden, it was just like jet stream. I got to where I wanted to be, and I realized I didn't like it. And I was like, I had to recognize that as a way God allowed me to have something he knew I didn't actually want, but because he loves me and cares for me, he let me have it. And he let me have it to let me know that that's not really what I wanted. And as I sat there in that position, not enjoying my goal, I started leaning into God and asking, what is it that I need to do? And deep down, I already knew that I always wanted to work on equipment and fix things. I know that's not for everybody. I was the type of kid that would take things apart just to see how it worked and put it back together. And it wasn't always right, but that's something I've always had in me. I like to solve problems. I like to know how things work. And I get satisfaction out of fixing things, even for my own satisfaction. But I love to be able to extend that to somebody else that's having a problem with something. And I'm like, I can help you with that, or I can try to help you with that. I mean, I'm not a perfect person. I make mistakes. There's some things I can't work on. And that's just, I can figure it out. Get the manuals, the tech specs, things I need to do. I have the ability to learn new skills as they come across. New models, new features, different designs. You get educated on it and you learn how to fix something. That's a continuing learning process. The same in the medical field. My sister, she works in the medical field, and there's always new training because there's new techniques coming out. There are new methods. There's new ideologies. There's new ways to do things. So, and the repair industry is the same way. Things are always changing. So you always have to be adaptive to new things coming in. And even life in general, we have to adapt to change on a day-to-day. And meanwhile, try to keep the balance at home, keep the balance at work, keep the balance in ourselves. And so when you're trying to balance all these things in your life and you still feel kind of empty, and even if you have Christ in your life, it's not an empty in your spirit, but you feel unsatisfied. You have to remember these things to remind yourself. You speak these things with your mouth so you can hear it, and remind yourself that, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And that strength can be physical strength, emotional strength, different ways to build your faith. And you only get that by leaning into God. You can run from God all you want to. That's fine. It's your choice. I mean, it really is your choice. But it's kind of like some people feel that God is far away, or they're not as close to God as they used to be. And the thing is, his distance from us never changes. It's our ability to realize that we've pulled away from him, or we have distanced ourselves from him, or we've got our hearts hardened from somebody that claimed to be a child of God or a Christian, or they a good spiritual person, and they do things that contradict what we would think a Christian would do, and it hardens our hearts, and then we end up resenting people that believe in God, or we resent others that go to this church. And the fact of it is, there are good churches out there that have people in them that are not good, and vice versa. There are churches out there that aren't the best, but they have good people in them, and it's just a mix. It depends on where your heart is, because the Holy Spirit is with you, not just in the building. It's with you anywhere you go. When you invite Christ into your life and the Holy Spirit into your life to lead you and guide you, things will start to change. But if you're just going to the building, or if you're just reading, the Word here, and you're not letting anything soak in, you're not praying to ask God to reveal these things to you, you're not opening your eyes to be aware of miracles that are happening around you every day, the little things, those are the things that guide you. And when I was leaving the state, those little steps I was taking towards wanting to do something different, I would pray, and then if I had this feeling inside of me of being uncomfortable where I was at, I had the idea of something that I wanted to do, and I said, but God, if it's in your will, make a way, because He's the way maker. He will make a way where there is no way. And the Bible talks about that the Word is a light to your path, a lamp to your feet. Lamp to your feet, light to your path. I might have got that backwards. But the idea is, God doesn't show you the whole path, but He's a light to your feet. That way you can take one step at a time in faith, and you trust Him. Just thinking about, like, if you had a great father or a great mother or a great guardian, or somebody that helped create who you are, or somebody that helped guide your way. They didn't show you the whole path or the whole distance, but God shows you your next step. And you take a step in that direction, and if you feel the presence of God in that decision, you know that He's there with it. And if you make a wrong decision, He's still going to be there with it. But you'll know. It's like, well, how do you know? Does He say it's right or wrong? You'll know. You'll feel it in your spirit, because you've asked that spirit to be in you. I mean, that spirit inside you is your voice of conscience. It's your Jiminy Cricket. And if you take a step out of what that path is, you'll feel non-comfort. And with each step I made to leave, it was small steps. I mean, it was like, here's how to do the LLC, or I need a trailer. Should I try applying for a trailer loan? My credit's not the best because I have student loans and other things, and that's just kind of whatever. But I'd take a little step, it would be confirmed. I would take a little step, things would happen. God would move. He would make things happen that I didn't expect that were going to happen. And here we are, almost 2 years into doing this business right here. In my business, see the cross? It's right here. And it's kind of funny about my logo that way, because it's just like God in real life. The cross is always there, signifying God, right? It's always there, but you only get it when you're looking for it. You got to lean into it. You got to have faith. And some days it's hard. Some days you're wondering what's going to happen. There's seasons of waiting. There's seasons of happiness, joy. There's seasons of sadness. But God's there with you through all of it. He really is. And you just have to lean into that. You really do. But I know I do a lot of mechanic videos, and I haven't done any spiritual type videos in a while, and it's not because I didn't want to. I have just been so busy, and busy's a good thing. I'm not rich, and I don't want to be rich. I want to be comfortable, be able to pay my bills. And I can tell you that, there's been times where things have been tight. There's been times I've had a little extra, but month to month, we make it through because God has carried us through. He has not let us go hungry. He has not let us miss out on things. We've had opportunities to do more with the family than I ever thought was possible. So that's amazing. And leaning into having that faith, the stepping out in faith when you know that on paper it doesn't make sense. The Bible says, lean not on your own understanding. And that's the truth. I mean, people ask, well, what's your plans, Ty? Like, I have an idea of where I want this business to go, but I want God to lead it where it needs to go. So if you're out there today and you're struggling to kind of grasp, what's next, what's the plan, and I'm not happy where I am, think about, are you unhappy with the conditions at the work? Are you unhappy because of a coworker? Or do you physically feel like even if everything was perfect at your job, you would still be unhappy there? That's when you have to start leaning in. Or if you're in a situation you're uncomfortable with, and you know that everything around you makes sense, but inside you don't feel right, you'll know. You'll just lean into that and just have discussions and talk with people, and talk with the right people, because there's some people out there that'll just tell you, stay where you are. Just, you've got it good, you've got it made. That'd be a crazy decision. But when you take a step in faith before God and ask him to guide your path, he will take care of you. The righteous will not be forsaken. That's what he says. And I believe in that because I'm walking in it. So I know this is a long video, but I thank you guys for watching. I'm not a skin deep mechanic. I'm not a skin deep person. I get deep. Sometimes I get uncomfortable. Sometimes I get emotional. But on these platforms, you see so much content that is just skin deep. You never get down to the root of a person. You never get down to the stuff that people don't want to talk about. You never get down to the nitty gritty with the feelings and get down to the places that need to be touched, that are hurt, or the places inside that were dead and numb. When you speak the word of the Lord, dead things come to life. And that means things in your life that you thought were dead, or the joy or passion you had for something, speak life into those things. And he will bring new life in you for those things. Reignite your passion for whatever it is you were doing that the world has struck you down. I get comments on here quite a bit that'll tell me I'm an idiot, or that I'm stupid, or I'm doing things wrong. That's the world, man. That is the world. I mean, even this, okay? People that saw Jesus perform miracles still wanted him dead, right? I mean, they still wanted him dead, and he was a good guy. I'm definitely not Jesus. Far from it. But people are going to tell you that you're wrong, you're stupid, you're dumb, you're making a bad choice. You have to follow that God compass in you. You really do. And it's going to be uncomfortable. 100% it's going to be uncomfortable. Some people are going to look at you and say, that doesn't make sense. You're crazy. You're taking a leap of faith, and that, based off of what? It's your spirit. You'll know. You will know. So God bless you guys. Thank you for supporting my channel. If this touched your heart today, share it with a friend, or maybe leave some comments down below, and I'll pray for you guys. Keep me in your prayers, because this is a learning event all the time for me here. So just trying to do what I can. God bless. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.